your depression, your frustration, deal your problems, whether it is simple headache or depression or the worst suicidal patterns or life negativity, only through consciousness. Don't go for any other solution. Don't keep stupid, toxic, life negative struggles inside. Greater signs of life can be realized with a greater ability to visualize. Greater signs is the equivalent word for Hinduism. When you understand the greater signs of life, greater courage, more possibility, more fearlessness, more joy, more bliss. When you visualize Paramashiva with 25 heads, 75 eyes, 50 hands, your consciousness becomes ferocious, and that ability to visualize, you will get involved in everything deeply. Involved people are the most delicious, most sweet, most beautiful, most juiciest beings of planet Earth. Just be alive for next 3 years. Don't die within next 3 years. I guarantee you, I will reach you wherever you are. Be alive, somehow be alive for next 3 years. I will reach you wherever you are, whichever corner of the world you may be. I will reach you with enlightenment. It's my commitment to humanity. I'm going to empower, enlighten each and every one of you with the fuel and
Nithyanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvathitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadguruntam Namami. Nithyanandam, everybody. We welcome each and every one of you for today's program on the guide to the Paramashivoham Level 3 program. A few security measures before we enter into today's session. Photography, video and audio recording of any kind is strictly prohibited. Please be on mute and be on camera. And if you need to step out due to some unavoidable situation, please inform the digital security officer. A few important cautions before we enter into the session. We welcome all the KAILASA Vasis attending from KAILASA's monasteries, gurukuls, temples, ashrams, and centers from around the world. We welcome all the Facebook, Nithyananda TV, KAILASA TV, Hinduism Now TV, Twitter and YouTube viewers, and all those who are blessed to have the Nayana Diksha, which is the two-way video conferencing, who are joining us for today's program. Let us now have a brief introduction to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is the reviver of KAILASA, which is a macrocosmic, ancient, enlightened Hindu civilizational nation. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the 1008th living incarnation of Paramashiva as per Hinduism and has been recognized by his predecessors who are enlightened masters and adepts. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has made the science of power manifestation, yoga, and temple based universities a lifestyle for humanity. A brief coronation, a brief timeline of the various coronations of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Before 1981, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was identified as the 1008th living incarnation of Paramashiva by spiritual adepts and enlightened masters of Hinduism. And in the age of three, at the age of 3 in 1981, he was initiated into Bala Sannyas and Chaturmasya. In the year 1988, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was coronated as a future Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Tondai Mandala Adinam, which is the oldest monastic university. In the year 1994, he was declared as a successor of Arunachala Sarvanyapeetham by the Guru Parampara on 24th of May. In the year 1999, at the age of 21, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism founded the mission Nithyananda Sangha to revive Kailasa internationally. In the same year, he was also coronated as a successor of Kashi Sarvanyapeetham. In the year 2002, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism founded the Adi Kailasa Sarvanyapeetham on the 4th of November. And on 1st of January 2004, he was declared as a successor of Bhagyanagara, the Sripura Sarvanyapeetham. On 31st of December 2004, he was declared and coronated as the incumbent emperor of the Suryavamsa Surangi Samrajyam of the Suryavamsa lineage. In the year 2007, he was declared as the Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Adi Pallava Sarvanyapeetham, following which the same year he was also declared as the Mahamandaleshwar of Mahanirvani Akhada. In the year 2012, he was coronated as the 293rd Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam of Kailasonata Shyamalapita Sarvanyapeetham. In the year 2013, he was officially coronated as the Mahamandaleshwar, the supreme spiritual head of Mahanirvani Akhada, the largest apex monastic order, as the youngest Mahamandaleshwar. In the same year, he was also declared as the Acharya Mahamandaleshwar of Atalakada, which is one of the oldest monastic orders of Hinduism, by Acharya Mahamandaleshwar Sukhdevanandaji, the then incumbent spiritual head. Following which, in the year 2014, he was coronated as the Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Tanjavur Adinam, the Tiruvarur Adinam, Vedaranyam Adinam, and Panchanadikulam. In the year 2015, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was coronated as the Guru Mahasannidhanam of Dharmamukti Swargapuram Adinam. Following which, the same year, he was also coronated as the Guru Mahasannidhanam of the Adipita Kolada Matha and was elected as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism by a congregation of over 1,000 leaders. Let us now look at the various global initiatives by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has over 28 years of relentless humanitarian services and initiatives including free vegetarian food, medical services, and various other initiatives through the international agencies and bodies. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also authored 300 books and 10,000 articles in 3 languages and translated into 50 languages with over 1,000 titles. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also over 20 million copies, books, and articles sold, read, and downloaded. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has established the largest Hindu university with over 1 million books, 1 million palm leaf scriptures, and over 20 million digital books. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is also revered as the most prolific and most viewed guru with over 1 billion followers in Hinduism. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also over 10,000 hours of discourses and 1 billion views on social media. He is also respected as the commentator of all the sacred scriptures of Hinduism. He is also honored as the leader of Hinduism, the most awarded, internationally recognized Hindu leader, and also acclaimed as one of the top 100 spiritually influential living personalities by Watkins' Mind, Body, Spirit magazine. The Sovereign Order of Kailasa and the Hindu diaspora are working for global peace to give superconscious breakthrough to humanity. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is also the establisher of the largest Hindu university in the world, with satellite campuses in over 150 countries. He's also the establisher of over 1,000 KAILASA enlightenment ecosystems, and also the founder and reviver of over 100 Sarvagnapeethas.
Let us now move on to the next segment of today's Bhava Samadhi Darshan, which is the manifestation of the extraordinary powers. And those of you who would like to experience this power manifestation today can drop your message in our social media platforms where we are streaming live. In the Vedagamas, which are the source scriptures of Hinduism, Paramashiva reveals in elaborate detail that every human being is hardwired to manifest 463 plus extraordinary Shaktis or the divine powers through the third eye. Manifesting powers are described as a system, a method, and a science for human beings to explore the various possibilities and powers and have access to various states of consciousness. Paramashiva is the source of these Shaktis. He is the primordial divinity in Hinduism, the ultimate reality and cause which is self-effulgent, Swayam Prakasha, all-pervading, unchanging beyond time, space, form, and causality. As the fundamental base of Avyakta, which is the unmanifest, and the Vyakta, the manifest existence, he performs the Panchakritya, which is the five cosmic acts of Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Trobhava, and Anugraha. So, where is this third eye located? The third eye itself is a cosmic browsing center that is located in between your eyebrows, where the pineal gland is situated, and which, upon initiation, one can effortlessly express these powers and see through the third eye just as you would with your two eyes. And with respect to the third eye, there have been various references in the Hindu scriptures, such as the Vedas, Agamas, Puranas, Itihasas. And these can be classified as Shastra Pramana, Apta Pramana, Atma Pramana, and Sakshi Pramana. The Shastra Pramana is the eternal, unchangeable truths that are revealed in the source scriptures. The next is the Apta Pramana, which is the experiences of the results of the Vedic rishis and scientists who have time tested and verified the science. So here we're looking at the Shastra Pramana, which is the scriptural reference for this power of third eye to see where the third eye is. In the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, Sutra 34, Paramashiva describes about the third eye. Kapalantarmano nasya tishtandilitalochanaha kramena manasodadya shaye lakshya uttamam. By fixing the mind on the inner space within the crown center and sitting stably without any movement, having the eyes closed in succession, by that stability of the mind or the inner space, through the power of third eye, one directly sees the ultimate goal by having the vision beyond the sight that reveals any object or place, attaining the space of oneness with the source, Paramashiva.
The next is the Atma Pramana, the experience of the Vedic rishis. Here in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, "You cannot see my cosmic form with these physical eyes of yours. Therefore, I grant you the divine third eye vision. Behold my cosmic opulence." In the Hindu Purana Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna initiates Arjuna into the power of third eye so he can see Bhagavan Sri Krishna's Vishwarupa Darshan. Even in other cultures and civilizations, such as the Egyptian, Greek, or Buddhism, they have references on the third eye. For instance, the eye of Ra resembles the cross section of the pineal gland. There have also been various studies conducted that describe the hidden power in the pineal gland, which can be mapped to the Agnya Chakra where the third eye is located. The pineal gland is a small endocrine gland in the brain of most mammals and animals, and it produces melatonin, which modulates sleep patterns. The pineal gland is located in the epithalamus near the center of the brain between the two hemispheres. From a point of view of biological evolution, the pineal gland is kind of a atrophied photoreceptor of the endocrine glands. The function of the pineal gland was the last discovered. It was discovered in 1958 that the pineal gland produces melatonin in darkness that triggers a relaxing state of relieving stress. Recent researchers have also found that the pineal gland produces DMT, which gives near-death experiences and induces psychedelic visions and hallucinations when taken externally. A new form of biomineralization has been studied in the pineal gland of the human brain. It consists of small crystals that are less than 20 micron in length and that are completely distinct from the often observed concretions. The crystal edges were sharp, whereas the surfaces were very rough. The complex texture structure of the microcrystals may lead to symmetry breaking and possible piezoelectricity that works similar to a mobile phone. So you might have a question, is there a way to awaken the third eye? Yes, the third eye can be awakened by Diksha, which is initiation by an avatar or an incarnation. Diksha means initiation or the direct transfer of spiritual energy by an avatar through a look, touch, or a word. Diksha results in the awakening of the Kundalini Shakti, which is the latent potential energy in all of the human beings.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, being recognized as an incarnation at a very young age, was trained and taught these sciences to revive the initiations and the knowledge repositories for billions to manifest the science of power manifestation from the disciplines of Vedanta, Tantra, Sri Vidya, Yoga and Yogic powers, Mantra Shastra, Siddha Vidya, science of Aushadha, Advaita and Bhakti Yoga, Paramashivoham and Paramashivoham. Let us now look at a personal experience of the third eye awakening of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. There's a coral hillock called the Pavarakundra on the foothills of the Arunachala hill. It is on this same rock that Devi Parvati did the tapas and became enlightened. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was practicing the technique of self-inquiry and asking himself, who am I? And who is it who is having the experience of pain and suffering? Between the sunset and the moonrise, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism experienced a sudden revelation. His eyes were closed and he suddenly knew who was the experiencer. He felt alive and being present to everything. He could literally see through everything with a 360-degree vision. He could see the temple at one side, the tree on the other side, and every plant and stone around. He was able to see the whole at a time simultaneously without opening his eyes. So this is the first experience where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had the third eye awakening. As a living incarnation of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism embodies the most profound yogic states that surpass all the bounds of time, space, and matter. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is gifting this great science of third eye awakening, along with many other spiritual sciences through the Dikshas, and millions of people have been initiated by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and are experiencing profound spiritual extraordinary powers in their everyday life. You can receive these initiations by attending the Paramashivoham Level 3 program. Head over to kailasa.org/Paramashivoham so you could register yourself for this program and get initiated by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So now we're going to have a quick demonstration where the initiated disciples will be performing the power manifestation of the third eye and sharing with all the experiences of this power manifestation. Today, we're going to be manifesting the power of body scanning. And in this power of body scanning, one awakens the ability to scan illnesses, diseases, medically diagnosed issues, and provide solutions through the awakened third eye. So we have a volunteer, we have Rahul, who has requested for the power manifestation. So I will now be chanting the Mahavakya, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham, and revealing whatever Swamiji is showing to me. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. What Swamiji revealed is that over the last couple of weeks, you have started becoming more and more lethargic with respect to your spiritual practice and your spiritual routine. You had been practicing the Nithyananda yoga with integrity over the last couple of months, but you have started giving those excuses to yourself, telling that you've been busy with other things. And initially, even though you were actually busy, after that also, you're just continuing it due to your casual attitude and lethargy. What Swamiji revealed is for you to break that pattern immediately and decide to restore your integrity towards the spiritual routine, which will align yourself back to the higher consciousness. And as Swamiji revealed in yesterday's satsang, there is nothing called as stress. It is only what you create to justify to yourself. So this is what Swamiji revealed. And once you are able to break it, you will start experiencing higher and higher possibilities and power manifestation in your life. You can share with all of us how you are able to relate with what was revealed. So with that, we are coming towards the conclusion of this particular segment of today's guide to the Paramashivam Level 3 program. Let us move on to the next segment of today's session after a short break. Please stay tuned.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyananda, welcoming back all the viewers watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and the various social media channels. We would like to take a few minutes to introduce one of the greatest projects that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has revealed, the Ishanya project. Humanity, as a modern society, we have reached the state where we can provide food, clothing, medical care, and all the basic needs for the population of 8 billion people. But unfortunately, the decision makers have not reached the conscious level to make the humanitarian decisions for providing these basic needs for all the 8 billion people. The survival needs for these 8 billion people don't depend on housing or food or the availability of resources, but rather the conscious level of the decision makers. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has now launched this Ishanya project where KAILASA and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism facilitate the providing of these basic needs. One side, we can see that tons of food are dumped in oceans and in landfills to maintain the steady prices. But on another side, we can see millions who are dying with hunger. One side, we can see that the functioning medical equipment are just put away to acquire new models. But on another side, we see that these medical equipment are the ones that people are needing in many of the countries around the globe. One side, we see that the clothes are just wasted, which are barely worn or just worn once. whereas we see in countries the people with not even basic clothes, the warm clothing, and basic materials. One side we see the homes are closed for foreclosure and empty and locked away, where another side we can see millions in homelessness. Here we can see just a few statistics about the food wastage and how the food is just getting discarded without being optimally used for the people who actually need the food.
So let us look at some of the facts as Tatwa Maharaj was sharing. Let us look at some of the facts of the food wastage. Literally 1/3 of the entire food that is produced in the world for the human consumption every year, which is approximately 1.3 billion tons of food, gets lost or wasted. Food losses and waste amount to roughly about 680 billion US dollars in industrialized countries and about 310 billion US dollars in developing countries. Over 155 million people in about 55 countries or regions have faced food crisis in 2021. Adding the number has now increased to 265 million due to the COVID epidemic. So as we can see, one side, there is a huge amount of wastage, but the other side, there are millions of people who are having and suffering the food crisis. Even if just 1/4 of the food that is currently wasted globally could be saved, it is more than enough to feed over 870 million hungry people in the world. Just 1/4. As Swamiji says, the world has already reached a point where all the basic needs for the world is enough. So all we need to do is the decision makers take the responsible decisions, and that is where the Ishanya projects come through. Over 35 million people have been dying from hunger worldwide. A child dies from hunger every 10 seconds. Poor diets are linked to over 20% of all the deaths worldwide. So you can see how high the statistics are at this given point in time. Let us look at a quick statistic as about the medical equipment wastage. As we can see here, there is about 5.2 billion discarded equipments versus the people who are in need of medical care is over 100 million. So even if we are able to actually just reutilize the wastages that are there, we'll be able to bring over 100 million people out of the poverty of medical care just like that. The US medical waste will attain about 5.25 billion USD by 2027. And among the regulated and unregulated clinical waste, around 80 to 85% of the medical equipment can be reused. They have their standards that is there, but that doesn't mean it has to get wasted. So 80 to 85% of what is thrown away can be reused. Unused supplies in the medical facilities are often discarded unnecessarily rather than being stored for later use, adding even more unnecessary garbage being created away to just landfills where unused medical supplies are wasted. Reprocessing industries saving about 15 million pounds of medical waste from landfills and reducing the hospital costs and surgical centers by over 544 million US dollars. These are all statistics from various articles and references and news that have credible evidences and back producing it. The world's poorest countries are paying some of the highest drug prices, with everyday medicine costings up to 30 times more than those in the rich nations. And half the world, as we know, lack access to even the basic essential healthcare services, with 100 million still suffering and pushed into extreme poverty due to health expenses.
The next, let us see some statistics about the cloth wastage. Here we can see that almost 59,000 tons of waste clothes are being produced by the nations where the clothes are just used only once or just used few times and thrown completely. And this recycling can provide the clothes, provide the basic needs for almost all of the 8 billion people. Here we can see the statistics where almost 100 billion garments are produced each year, with over 33% going to the landfills. Every year, 59,000 tons of used and unsold clothing end up in Chile from all over the world just to be dumped in the ocean. Every 10 minutes, an estimated of 6,000 kilograms of clothing and textiles are dumped in landfills. Almost 1 in 8 children without basic clothes, 1 billion children worldwide are multidimensionally poor without access to basic accessories. Over 22,000 children die each day due to inhygiene around the world. And also, in terms of the vacant homes and shelter, we can see that almost there are 42 million vacant homes, which can give homes to almost 27% of homeless people. These are not just in the United States, but all over the world, where the world has millions of vacant homes, and almost 1 in 10 homes in advanced economies are empty. Here we can see the example of Japan, which has topped a list of the nations with the highest percentage of vacant homes, with 13.6% of its people not lived. And in Canada, there are around 1.3 million vacant homes. There is a 27% increase in homelessness because of the impacts, the economic impacts of COVID 19. And more than one third of all people are facing homelessness, which are women and children. For the last 5 years, core homelessness has been rising year on year worldwide. Homeless people are over 9 times likely to take their own life than the general population. Of course, when you take account of fulfilling the basic needs of the human beings, we can expect less crime rate, more an increase in the mental health and physical health of all the 8 billion citizens of the world. 78% of homeless people report having a physical health condition, 44% of them having mental health diagnosis, and 41% use drugs and alcohol to cope with the mental health issues. As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was mentioning in yesterday's satsang, that the people who are homeless are not harmful, or they are just neglected by the society. And it is time for the affluent communities, it is time for the developed nations to start taking account of these people who are also global citizens, the citizens of the world, and give them the basic needs where they can improve the lifestyle of themselves, which in turn adds to the economy of the country, which adds to the happiness of the communities, which adds to the health of the communities.
As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has shared, the Kailasa's aim for the Ishanya project is to raise the consciousness level in the world and to bring to the fore the real issues the facing world, and through a specialized process of recycling, facilitating the movement of good quality unwanted items from the haves to the have-nots. This Chaturmasya, which is the 4 months from July to the October 22nd, 2022, alone, 1 crore people should practice samadhi to raise their consciousness, and 1 crore people should be pulled out of poverty. This is the direct aim of Kailasa and the vision of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism for the Ishanya project. If we have to just look at some of the great benefits from this project, for the donors, it's a great boon to provide to those in need. For the world, recycling removes a lot of hazardous material from the nature, adding to a cleaner environment. And for those in need, millions of people around the world will be alive, not just alive, but raised out of poverty, pulled out of hunger and inadequate health practices due to lack of medical facilities. As we can see, it's a win-win-win situation. Over the last 27 years, Sri Kailasa has built a network of legal entities in over 140 countries around the world, holding charity status in over 118 of these countries. In many countries, Sri Kailasa's entities are registered distributors as well, meaning we can manage the entire process end to end and act as the middlemen to make sure that we are able to receive and distribute it to the people who are in need. So we will be making full use of this network to collect clothing, medical equipment, food material from developed nations, transport them, distribute it to the countries and regions in need, and all the transportation and the distribution expenses will be directly sponsored by Sri Kailasa. Here, we're looking at a brief as to what would be the methodology of this entire project. First would be collecting of the clothing, the medical equipment, and food material from various parts of the world. After which, a professional team of people from the Sri Kailasa would be performing the quality control and the processing of the goods that have been received. After which, it will be shipped to various different countries and regions where people in need are there, and they would be given completely free of cost. So as you can see, these are the various different examples, the various different processes, and the aim of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism through the Ishanya. If you want to contribute to the project, if you want to be part of the project, or if you want to be on the receiver's end, you can head over to gov.srikailasa.org/Ishanya, where you can register yourself for these services. Let us now move on to the next segment of today's Guide to the Paramashivam Level 3 program. After a short break, please stay tuned.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyananda, welcoming back all the viewers watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and the various social media channels. We saw about the Ishanya project, one of the greatest projects by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and how Kailasa is providing the solutions for the basic needs of 8 billion people in the globe. One of the main problems that we humans face in our lives is the poverty, the inadequate funds that we have, the problems in our health, and the problems in our relationships. Today, we will just take you through a few of the statistics about how poverty has affected the globe and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given the solution for everyone to have abundance of not just wealth, but everything in their lives. Today, in the world, about 9.2 percentage or 689 million people to be exact live in extreme poverty on less than $2 a day. Around 413 million people, which is projected, will be living in extreme poverty by 2030. That's 30 million more than last year's projection. 1.3 billion people live in multi-dimensional poverty. This can be whether the inadequate funds or inadequate education or inadequate food or basic needs. This is directly by the statistics from the UNDP. And especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected many parts of the world, the poverty rate has doubled in many parts of the globe. Especially we can see in East Asia and Pacific, around 239 million people have been affected. And we can see the statistics where people have resorted to borrowing and relied on the well kept savings which they had and reduced expenditure on non-food items where they're focusing just on looking and meeting the basic needs. 27% have even changed their dietary patterns, and 16% have resorted to donations from friends and relatives. 689 million people, as we saw, live in poverty, and children and youth are the ones that account for 2/3 of the world's poor, and women represent a majority in most regions. Extreme poverty is increasingly concentrated in the sub-Saharan Africa. About 40% of the region's people live on less than $2 a day. Extreme poverty rates nearly doubled in the Middle East and North Africa between 2015 and 2018 because of the world crisis that was happening and which is still happening. Although countries impacted by fragility, crisis, and violence are home to about 10% of the world's population, they account for more than 40% of people living in extreme poverty. By 2030, an estimated 67% of the world's poor will live in fragile contexts. About 70% of people older than 15 who live in extreme poverty have no schooling or only some basic education. 1.3 billion people in 107 developing countries, which account for 22% of the world's population, live in multidimensional poverty. As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism says, poverty is not just in money, but poverty accounts for anything that is not abundant in your life. Anything that you are not able to manifest accounts for poverty, which can be as small as poverty in wealth or the poverty in education, poverty in health, poverty in relationships, poverty in your ability to have good mental health and stay happy.
Here, we're looking at some more cases which speak about how billions of people are being pushed into extreme poverty, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic that affected the entire world. It threatens to reverse the years of progress in the fight against the global poverty and the income inequalities. It literally jeopardizes the future of the generation of our very children. The COVID-19 drove an additional 97 million people into extreme poverty in 2020, according to the World Bank estimates. More than a year into the pandemic, the World Bank stresses that there is still much we don't know concerning its impact on the global poverty in 2022. Another 250 million people will fall into poverty this year, the Oxfam says. And this is, of course, due to the COVID pandemic. The combined hit of the world crisis as well as the COVID pandemic result in a total of 860 million people living below the $2 average per day. And by the end of 2022, or 263 million more people than the projection during the pandemic, before the pandemic, that's equivalent to the entire population of the UK, France, Germany, and Spain combined. All of them are going to be dropping to a less than $2 per day average below by the end of 2022. And as we know, 3.7 million more children are in poverty just by the Jan of 2022. In 2015, the children in Africa accounted for 25% of the global poverty. And by 2030, the children in Africa will account to over 43% of the global poverty. The monthly child poverty rate has increased from 12.1% in December 2021 to 17% in December 2022. As you can see, it is literally just a month away with 5% increase. And this is the highest rate of increase since the end of 2020. The 4.9 percentage point increase in poverty represents 3.7 million more children in poverty. As we can see, the poverty is making continuous rolls and things are only becoming worse and worse. Ishanya project is one of the most powerful and most advanced technologies that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has bringing about to revolutionize this, to bring people out of poverty. At the same time, also raise the consciousness and the awareness of the people. Working poverty affects in as many as 169 million youth in the world. The number is increasing to over 286 million if the near poor are included. About 152 million young workers live in households that are below the poverty line, and they comprise of 24% of all the working poor. So till now, we've looked at various statistics of poverty. And as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has brought out the Ishanya project, where it aims to bring over 1 crore people out of poverty in the next couple of months, Swamiji has also been, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has also been providing solutions for individuals to work on their consciousness to raise the very idea of poverty and to get pulled out of poverty. In the next segment of today's program, we're going to look at some of the solutions given by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, which each and every one of us can work in our very own life to pull ourselves out of poverty. Please stay tuned. We'll catch up again after a short break.
Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyananda, welcoming back all the viewers watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, and the various social media channels. Let us now see the solutions which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given to overcome poverty in all our lives. So, for creating wealth, we can see that life can be equated to one, which is ability to achieve what you want in the inner and outer world. Two, just getting stuck in both the worlds. These are the only two equations which are there. Everybody wants wealth, but they do not increase in their life to the level that they want it. Wealth can be equated to the life energy you express. It is a straight equation. The more that you want to express wealth in your life, the more you put in your life energy to make it happen. Global wealth, creating wealth is an intrinsic part of life. Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in Gita, Gahano Karmano Gatihi, where Bhagavan Sri Krishna explains that the first priority in life should be for moksha, enlightenment. When that happens, automatically wealth will generate in all our lives. Creating wealth makes you non-violent because your whole energy becomes creative, and creating wealth brings tremendous interest in life and non-violence.
So, what exactly is wealth? Wealth is not just some object or something that has to be achieved, but wealth is actually an extension of you. If you look at your life, anything that adds to you is wealth. It can be health, it can be your experience of relationships, it can be experience in your career, your mental state. All of these put together is wealth. It's not just something that you need to get. Wealth is not even just money or currency. Money is one type of wealth, currency is one type of wealth, assets that you have is wealth. Being alive and active is one kind of wealth. All of these four put together is what is wealth. And wealth, as you know, is neither good or bad, it is just a utility. The wealth consciousness means making a clear decision to break out of the myths and mental patterns that impoverish us and draw us again and again into the poverty cycle. Here we're looking at the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, sharing the deeper truths about how we can manifest wealth and be pulled out of the poverty. In the Paramashivoham Level 3 program, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is going to give all of these as a direct experience where manifesting wealth and abundance in your life would just happen as a very side effect. Whatever is being shown here, till now in today's segment, we have seen two different parts. One, the problems that the current world is facing and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is tackling them in two different fronts. One, on a direct basis through the Ishanya project, where we are taking the Sri KAILASA is taking the efforts and to reach out to the different people and bring them out of poverty through the physical means. But there is also the second part of it, which is raising the consciousness, which is actually going to give and empower an individual to continue to sustain a life without poverty and raise their life into becoming more and more wealthy. You manifest what you believe, not what you want. You manifest your desire. You don't just manifest your desire, but you manifest what you cognize. And what you cognize and perceive is what becomes a reality for your life. So these are very different truths that have been shared by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism to experience and to create the abundance of wealth in each and every one of our life. So now I would like to take this time once again to invite each and every one of you for the Paramashivoham Level 3 program. Head over to kailasa.org/Paramashivoham, where you can register for this grand event happening from August 15 to September 4th. And you can experience the one-of-a-kind program and manifest the consciousness of wealth and abundance in your very life. Let us now prepare ourselves to receive the live satsang by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. After a short break, we request each and every one of you sitting all over the world to please stay tuned. Thank you.